Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be drafting a pant or trousers. So first of all, we're going to start by marking out our guideline like so. So from that guideline, I'm going to subtract 1.5 inches from my crouch measurement. My crouch measurement is 12 inches. So on that guideline, I place 1.5 inches and I mark out 12 inches. And then I square it out. After I've marked out my crouch measurement, I'm going to mark out my hip measurement. So I do the same thing. I place 1.5 inches on the guideline and I mark out my hip measurement and connect like so. Now I'm going to measure my hip circumference. My hip circumference is 10 inches plus 2 inches sewing allowance. I mark it out on my crouch length and on my waist measurements, so I connect the line like so. Now on the crouch length, I'm going to come out by 2.5 inches. This depends on the size of the person. You can come out by 2 inches or 2.5 inches. So I'm going to connect it to this crouch line like so. Connect it to the hip. And then to make sure that my curve is not too much, just place your tape at angle 90 and mark out 1 inch or 1.5 or 1.25 inches, sorry, like I did, and mine was correct. Now I'm going to, from that my guideline on the waist, I'm going to measure down to my full length, adding my hem allowance. Sorry you cannot see that point, but I just measured my full length plus 2 inches hemming allowance and I squared it out. Now I'm going to come up to the crouch. Okay, I'm making sure that my hem is correct, then I'm squaring it out. Sorry you cannot see that point, I didn't know that it was off the camera. So now I'm done. I'm going to come to my crouch and take the full measurement here and mark the middle. Now I'm going to take this same full measurement at my hem line and also mark the middle point. Sorry you still can't see that. I just took the full measurement down, so I'm going to measure it all the way down to the hemline, also marking the middle. Remember, I'm using the measurement I got at the crouch, so I'm going to take it all the way down and connect the line. Mark out the middle and connect the line. Also do the same for the other side. Alright, now I'm done with that. So the next thing we're going to do is that at the two sides of the hem, you're going to come in by 1.5 inch. At the two sides of the hem, you're going to come in by 1.5 inch. You're going to come in by 1.5 inch, and then after that, you're going to come and take your waist measurement, adding your darts and your sewing allowance. So I added 1 inch for that and 2 inches for my sewing allowance, and I'm connecting it to my hip like so. So after connecting to your hip, you're going to take down this line from your hip down to that 1.5 inch you took at the hem. So you're going to connect from that 1.5 inch up to this line that is coming from your hip. So that is the 1.5 inch I took at the hem, as you can see down there. So you take it and you connect it up to the hip, which is what I'm doing here. Make sure that the lines meet equally. Yes, then you're going to go to the other side of the trouser and also connect from the 1.5 inch you came in by all the way up to the crouch like I've done. Then at the waistline, come down by 1 inch, come down by 1 inch, and then you're going to cut out your trouser. We are done with the front measurements, so we're going to just cut out. Make sure you notch all the important points so that when you're joining, you will not be confused. Okay, so we're done cutting out. Not all your important points. So the next thing you're going to do is that you're going to place this trouser that you've cut out, the front part, on another fabric that is wider than the front one, at least by 3 inches or by 2.5 inches. Then from the waist, from the center front of the trouser, go up by 2.5 inches and to connect down like so. At that point that you went up, you take your waist measurement. At that 2.5 inch, take your waist measurement and connect down. Then extend the crouch line by 1.5 inch. Then come down and take 1 inch, come down by about 4 inches and take 1 inch all the way down. Now you're going to connect the new crouch line to your new waist for the trouser, to that 2.5 inches that you went up by. Make sure you have a smooth curve. Then at the other side of the trouser, from the hem, take 1 inch all the way up and connect it to that 1.5 inch that you took at the crouch line. So that is what I am doing here. I'm going to connect it all the way down. Sorry, my camera is not getting my hem, but I'm just connecting my 1 inch all the way down. After that, the back is pretty much done, so you're just going to now take out all your note all your important points and cut out. So I'm cutting out my back trouser, noting all my important points. You cut. Okay, so when you're done cutting, ensure that you also notch the important points on the back trouser. So we're going to notch the hip line on the 2 sides. So that's it for the back. So now I'm going to cut out my pocket. So I came in from my side of my waist by 4 inches. Then I'm going to go down by 7 or 8 inches and I'm going to connect it with a smooth curve like this. The shape of your pocket is totally dependent on your preference. So I liked my own this way, sorry. So I'm going to cut it out. This piece that I'm going to cut out, I'm going to keep it because I will still use it. But for now, let's cut the pocket. So I'm going to get the pocket in, or the lining fabric that I'm going to use for my pocket, and fold into 4. I folded into 4 because I'm cutting out the 2 pockets at once. Now come down by 11 inches. This is the pocket length. So you come down by 11 inches and you square it like this. And then from the center, go in by about 10 or 9 inches, depending on your preference, and you connect. When you're done, you will just have to cut it out. Excuse me. So you cut it out like so. Okay, so now I'm going to open up the pocket and place the front side of and place my front trouser on it, that side that I cut out something from before. So I'm going to place it out and cut the same thing out on the pocket like I'm doing now. Now after I'm done, that part that I cut out from my trouser, I am going to place it on another fabric, a piece of fabric of the same material. Why I'm doing this is because I do not want the lining to show when I finish joining the pocket. So I'm going to add a few more inches to this part, about 1.5 inch or 2 inches, depending on your preference. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with it. So just cut it out like this, adding like 1.5 inch to the side. So when you're done, you bring your pocket and place this on the other side that you did not cut out, so that when you fold it, it is this fabric that will show and not your lining. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to place it like this, and then I'll go and to my sewing machine and sew it down and show you. So I've sewn it down like this. Then I'm going to get that part that I cut out and join to the front like this, exactly the two parts that I cut out. After joining, I'm going to top stitch. So I top stitched it like this. Then I'll fold it in. This is what I was trying to tell you earlier. So you fold, when you fold it, your pocket comes out this way. Now mark out that 4 inch and make sure that that is where you're placing your cutout pocket. Just pin it down so that it won't shift. Now fold the pocket inside out and sew down like this. You fold it inside out. After you're sewing, then you're going to fold it back inwards like this, and this is how it looks after you're done sewing it. So we're almost done with the pocket. You're just going to stitch it down on the side. Place it very well, ensure that your pocket is well placed, and then pin it down. And yes, pin it down, then just go to your sewing machine and stitch it down. Also do the same thing at the waist, stitch it down so that the pocket can be joined to the front trouser. So I'm done stitching it down, and this is how it looks. Alright guys, so we're going to join. I'm going to try to do the same thing for the other side of the trouser. That's for the other front side. So we're now going to join the trouser in front at the crotch. So here I'm making sure that my notched points match each other, and I'm going to sew down. Just going to run a stitch down there. Now I've done that, but I did not sew all the way down. I left about 1/2 inch. I'll show you what we use this for when I'm joining the front and the back trouser. So this is our front. So guys, I forgot that I added 1 inch for that on this trouser. So I'm going to lose out the pocket and mark out my dart just at the waist, not the whole pocket. So I loosed out the trouser at the waist, and I'm marking out my dart. To mark out your dart, from the center of the trouser where you have your joining, go in by your nipple to nipple measurements. So my nipple to nipple measurement is 3 3/4. Then you mark out 1/2 inch on each side of the dart like this. Take about 4 or 3.5 inches for your dart length, going, and then you connect like this. On each side you mark out 1/2 inch for the 1 inch that you added, and then you just connect and you go and to your sewing machine and sew it down. So I'm done sewing my dart, and this is how it looks. So that's it for the front. Now we're going to bring the back and join on either side of the front. So you bring one side of the front of the back and join to one side of the you bring one side of the back and join to one side of the front like this. Remember the 2 inches allowance you added while you were cutting this trouser. You're going to use it now. So you're going to take 1.5 inch on this side all the way down, 1.5 inch all the way down, and you're going to sew it on your sewing machine. So I've done that. I've sewn 1.5 inch all the way down, and I did it for the 2 sides of the trouser. I did it for both sides of the trouser. Now you're going to flip your trouser this way. we are going to take our hip measurement and our waist measurement. Make sure that the dots match each other. So now I'm going to come down by 9 inches and take my hip measurement. 9 inches is my hip line, remember? So I'm going to come down there and take my hip measurement. So from one side of the trouser, I'm going to extend it towards the back crouch. Sorry you cannot see the other side, but the two sides, on one side I have the front crouch and on the other side I have the back crouch. So from the front crouch, I extend it towards the back crouch and I take my hip measurement. Then I'm also going to do the same thing at the waist. So to take my waist measurement, I put my tape on one side of the front crouch, and extend it back to the back crouch, and I took my waist. My waist measurement is 16 inches. That is 32 divided by 2. Gave me 16 inches. And then I connect the 2 points, the waist measurement and the hip measurement. I connect it all the way down, leaving ½ inch like I did when joining the front crouch. So I've sewn it down on the sewing machine, and this is how it looks. Now the next thing we're going to do, remember the ½ inch we left out. So we're going to join each side of the trouser. So one front and one back. Like for each leg of the trouser, you're going to join it with ½ inch all the way from the crouch down for each side of the trouser. Okay, so I've gone ahead to do that. Now that ½ inch we left in on the front and back crouch, we're going to make use of it now. So you're just going to straighten your trouser like this, connecting the front and the back crouch. So you're going to stitch it to cover that ½ inch we took out. After stitching, this is how your trouser looks. I've gone ahead to iron and press open my seams. So this is how my trouser looks now. I've gone also ahead to fold in the hem. The 2 inches I marked out for my hem, I folded it in like this. So now it's left for us to take the waist, to cut the waistband and put the zip. So my waist measurement is 32, like you all know already. So I'm going to measure it out on a piece of fabric. Just fold the fabric into 2 like this and measure out 16 inches. Always mark out your guideline so you can have a straight line to work with. So I'm going to mark out 16 inches on this piece of fabric, which is my waist length, and then I wanted 3 inches. I wanted 1.5 inch waistband, but I decided to go for a 2 inches. So I'm going to mark out, instead of 4 inches, I'm going to mark out 5 inches for the waistband. I'm adding an extra 1 inch so that when I fold it in, I'll have 2.5 inches on each side. And by the time I take ½ inch for my joining on each side, then I'll have 2 inches. So that's what I'm doing here. I marked out 5 inches because I'm not cutting it on fold, so I'm marking out 5 inches so that when I flip it and fold it, I will have 2.5 inches on each side. I'm going to show you now. Yes, so when I flip it like this, I'll have 2.5 inches on each side, and by the time I join with ½ inch, I will have 2 inches remaining on each side. So I've gone ahead to iron and join my waistband to the trouser. So the next thing that is remaining is just to join the zip, and the trouser is already done. So I've joined my zip. I've attached my zip, and this is how my trouser looks. Very neat and well sewn. So if you like this tutorial, just go ahead and give it a try, and I promise you will love the outcome of your pants trouser. This is easy and beginner friendly. It is also professional. You will love the outcome. Thank you for watching.